Welcome back to the channel. Still raining down here in Texas quite a bit, especially on the weekends when I do most of my filming. So we're going to do another story this week, and I was trying to think of something, what story to tell, and I figured I would go with a story about New Zealand. So in 2007, 2007, I had a phone call for work I had to take. So, as I was saying, I went to New Zealand in 2007, and was down there for 3.5 months. And I had a bunch of trips, but there's this one that sticks out. The reason it sticks out is because the guy was hunting with a longbow and wooden arrows, and we hunted all week. And he was from Mexico, and he was down there with some of his friends, and one of his friends was hunting with a compound bow and had got a stag already, and the other ones were hunting with rifles, and we were hunting. Well, he really wanted to shoot one with a longbow, and this particular fellow, he ran marathons for fun. So I thought I was in shape back then, running up and down the mountains up there, but man, that guy could get it. He left me in the dust a couple times when we were going up hills, going up mountains to get to the top, and he'd be like, "Where are we going?" And up that road. Okay. There was one time, I think, we drove out there to one of the places that we hunted and drove down to the bottom of the hill. The lodge was at the top of the hill. We drove down into the valley, and he was like, "I'm gonna walk back." It's like, "You sure?" He's like, "Yep, I'm just follow this road, right?" And I said, "Yep." And he took off, and we drove up to the top, and I don't know, 20-30 minutes later, maybe an hour, here he comes, showed up. But he was wanting to shoot a big one, and we were trying, and with the longbow you have to get pretty close. So we got close a couple times, had them coming to us, wind shift directions, and it was raining, and it rains in New Zealand a lot, and it never worked out right. They would smell us or something, or they just wouldn't get close enough. When they did get close enough, couldn't get a shot. And we're coming down on the end of the hunt, and we'd seen this one stag quite a bit, and he was one of the ones we were hunting, and we kept, we couldn't get him. Well, we set up, and we thought they were going to come down this one ridge. So we set up and was hoping that they would, we knew where they were, and they were feeding towards us. And so we sat in the brush hoping we'd get a shot at them, or could move to get in front of them if we saw them again. And they just got around us. They instead of coming down from our left, coming from our left from behind us, they came to the right and went down in a cut that we didn't see, that we couldn't see them. And luckily enough, the other guys were just, I don't know, they were out hunting, and they saw the stags that we were after, and they called us on the radio and said, "Hey, the one you're looking for is over here on the other side of the mountain." Well, we were walking everywhere. We didn't have a Ranger. They use Polaris Rangers to drive around around there, and we were, a mile or two away, and So they jumped in the Ranger. One of the guys jumped in the Ranger and came around and got us. And we took off with the Ranger, and they were sitting there watching them down in this bottom. It was a real brushy bottom. We come around the corner, and they were all sitting there. All the other hunters, they were kind of running around together. I guess more touring than hunting. So we dropped them off, and they were going to watch them as we went around to this other ridge. And the only way to get around to that, we could drive straight over there, but we were afraid we were going to spook them. So I turned back around, and we drove all the way back around the ranch to get to the other ridge. I had to go up all the way by the lodge and come back down, and stopped up on the top of this ridge. And when we got there, we started sneaking up and down the ridge. You know, we couldn't really hunt through the brush. We wouldn't ever got a shot down there. So we got up on the ridge, and they were feeding up. We knew they were feeding up towards us, or would be feeding up towards us, to go across the ridge and back down into the back. So we got set. We were setting up on the ridge, and we could see the guys on the other side. They were keeping an eye on them, and they were, you know, giving us a thumbs up. You're good. That's a good spot. And we stopped, and we were sitting there, and we could hear him coming. Hearing him, he was by himself at that point, and he's coming up, and he popped down on the road at about, I don't know, 25 yards broadside. It was crazy. I wish I would have had a video camera, but I didn't have one that day. I think I'd left pretty much everything in my bag except for my binoculars and a backup rifle, just in case it was the last day. If he couldn't get a shot, I'd hand him the rifle with the bow. I could hand him the rifle and he could shoot it. But he did not want to do that. So when he popped out and he was standing there, he's looking right at us. And the guy was standing behind me, and I was got down, and I was like, shoot him. And he didn't want to draw because he thought it was going to spook him. And I said, he's going to run. You need to shoot him. And he, about that time, the stag would figure out, okay, this isn't good. So he turned to run, and I've never seen a shot like this. The guy was good with that bow. You could tell he shot it a lot. And he drew back, and that stag was running directly straight away from us. And he drew back, and at 40 yards, he hit that stag at the base of his skull, right in the back of the neck, centered up perfect, dropped him in his tracks. It didn't kill him right away. So he shot him, and then, so he's on the ground, and so he shot him again. Well, we moved up a little closer. He shot him again and behind the shoulder. He rolled off the edge of the embankment. So the ridge we were on, it was just a little bit wider than the 2-track that we were driving down. It wasn't much wider than the Ranger. So when he fell off, rolled off, he rolled down in the brush and started rolling, and we didn't know what to think. We were like, oh man, he rolled down. We didn't know. I mean, he was still moving pretty good, or he wasn't up, but we knew he was hurt. And I actually tried to get a shot off with the rifle, but what I didn't know, they handed me the rifle whenever we took the Ranger. They're like, here, take this rifle just in case. It was a ranch rifle. And I looked at them and said, "Is it loaded?" And they said, "Yes." So I was like, "Okay." And that's when we took off. Well, when he was rolling down the hill, we were afraid he's going to get in the brush. And the guy looked at me and said, "Well, see if you can shoot him, just to make sure." And I pulled up the gun and click. I was like, "What?" And I opened it up and it had an empty round in it from the night before when someone else had shot a stag with that rifle, and it rolled down in the brush. And it was like, we couldn't see him anymore. So we decided, I got up and went back to the Ranger, pulled it up to the top there where we hit him, and there was good blood. And we decided, I got on the radio because I had the radio in the Ranger, and called those guys, and they're like, I said, "Hey, can y'all make it up from the bottom? Can y'all go down to the bottom and walk up from the bottom, and we'll walk down from the top?" And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. So they walked down in the bottom, we walked in from the top, and we got down there maybe 100 yards down the edge there, and there he was. He was dead. So we didn't even have to shoot him a second time. But it's hard to tell when you're shooting with a longbow and wooden arrows. The second shot, it didn't look like it went in that far, but it went in far enough to do the damage it needed to do. And then we got it, and we walked up on it, took pictures, and started recording it up and taking it out. But it ended up being over 400-inch stag. I think that was the biggest one that I got it on while I was over there. There was a bigger one shot while I was over there, over 500, but this was the biggest one, and it was one of the bigger ones in the record books with a bow. And probably with the longbow, it would have been a world record if they would have put it in. I don't know if they ever did or not. But that was the most interesting hunt I had over there. I do believe. I mean, it's just the week long of hiking all over the place. The ranch was like, it was huge, and there was a lot of mountains and everything, and we walked all over that place hunting. And then when we finally got it in the way, we got the one we'd been hunting for all week, that we'd seen several times all week at 25, 35, 40 yards, 80 yards, 800 yards, and stocked up on him, and just never could get a shot. It never could get the right thing. Just to have him come out at 25 yards and be just standing there broadside, but looking right at us and not being able to get a shot, going, "Is this what?" And I even looked at the guy whenever it started running. I tried to hand him the rifle. This is how dedicated he was to getting one with a longbow. I tried to hand him the rifle, which now, looking back on it 17 years later, I'm glad he didn't grab that rifle. Not just because he probably wouldn't have liked it as much because he had a goal of doing it a certain way, but if he would have grabbed that rifle from me, it would have clicked, and then he would have rushed. And then think back, he probably would have rushed the second shot and missed and went and got a stag. And then the other thing is, if he would have missed, it would have been gone. There's only one more bullet in that rifle. So if he'd have missed, it'd have been over. So I learned some lessons from that one. Always check. Someone gives you something and says it's loaded, don't trust it. Just always check it. And because that would have been a bad situation. But it was a good hunt. It was a fun hunt. had a lot of fun doing that. I learned a lot over in New Zealand. I had a fun time over there. It was long days, a lot of wet. It was wet. Your clothes, rain gear didn't even dry before you went out the next day. And had a good experience down there. One of these days, maybe I'll go back and visit, just to go back and see the ranch, see what they've done. A lot of changes out there, so it'd be interesting to see what all they've done. But that's all I got for this little story time. Hopefully I can get back to filming some different stuff. It stops raining. We did get the stuff in to put on the Jeep for flat towing, so hopefully we'll get to do that this weekend. I still have to get the tent out, and every weekend I got to mow my dad's yard. I mean, every weekend it rains, it seems like, and can't really get much done. But hopefully we'll get back to doing that. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll get back to filming some good content, hopefully, not just me sitting in here talking to y'all. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.